Hello and welcome back to ElevenLabs series. By the end of this video, you will become pro at generating podcasts using ElevenLabs. It is very simple, just follow along and you will understand why I say so. So we saw URL to audio in Studio. The next thing that we can check is create a podcast. Okay, and when we click on that, you can see here we can upload a document, import from URL or use existing project. Okay, when we say existing project, it is basically projects within ElevenLabs, right? We can also import URL or we can upload a document. Okay, so I'm going to upload the document. This is about some business strategy discussion. And I was also talking about what happened during Proficon event 2025, where the Micromax co-founder was talking about his struggles. Yoga Bar founder was talking about their success and all of that. Okay, even Raj Shamani shared a couple of things, right? So all of that is actually available in this particular document. So let's quickly check what happens. We have format, which is either conversation or bulletin. Conversation, casual conversation between a host and a guest. Bulletin, focused podcast with key updates from a host, right? Duration short, default or long. We'll keep it to default. And then we have host voice and guest voice. You can play around with these voices. Okay, so let's say host is me. Okay, I'm using PVC, which is professional voice clone. And guest voice, let's say is, not sure how is this.
These are the keys that unlock the doors to endless freedom and wonder.
Okay, let's go with this. Right, then we have podcast language. We can either select it automatically, or rather we can say you detect automatically to the AI, or you can go ahead and update the language, right? So to English. One more setting that we can do from here is you can say what are the podcast focus that we want to cover in the podcast that we're generating. So let's say, for example, I'll tell the focus should be Micromax business shift, okay, and Yoga Bar highlights, Yoga Bar success story, okay, and Raj Shamani marketing tips, right? I'll click on save changes and then we'll click on generate. So it will take a few seconds and whatever is there in that document will be converted in podcast time. Please keep in mind that the document is actually a meeting transcript where I was talking about how did the program go, what was the discussion during the program, who came, what did they discuss and stuff like that. So casual conversation. But when it converts into podcast, you will see that it becomes a conversation between two people, okay? And all the pointers from that particular document will be considered. So let's wait and watch for it. So this one is still generating, and as we can see here, it is 20% done. So while this is getting generated, let me go to the same podcast that we created during testing. Different voices, of course, but let me show you a few things from there. So it's the same podcast, but generated before. You can see here, and we have a host and then guest. And okay, here's something to think about. Micromax, once a leader in India's smartphone market, faced near collapse when Chinese brands flooded the market. Okay, so it has created as though it is a conversation between two people. Let me play this.
Okay, so here's something to think about. Micromax, once a leader in India's smartphone market, faced near collapse when Chinese brands flooded the market. But instead of disappearing, they pivoted and became a manufacturer for those same competitors. That's the kind of resilience we're diving into today.
Oh, that's such a fascinating story. It's not every day you hear about a company that turns its competitors into clients. I can't wait to unpack how they pulled that off.
Again, as I mentioned, everything else remains the same, just like we had from URL to audio. Okay, so we have all the settings like chapters, voices, sound effects, music, files, and all of that. Okay, and you can also change the models. For example, in this particular case, we have changed it from ElevenLabs 11 V3 to V2 to V3, right? We have also added emotions here. right? Like whispering and so on and so forth. When I play this, you will understand how well it goes, right? So let me just, it's generating right now. Some issue with ElevenLabs server because it's too slow, but as soon as it plays, I'll show you.
Right, and it's not just Micromax. The meeting we're talking about also highlighted Suhani's journey with Yoga Bar.
Which is another incredible example of strategic foresight. She trademarked her brand name years before launching her business. That's the kind of long-term thinking we don't see enough of.
Absolutely. It's like she was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. But let's start with Micromax, because their story is such a roller coaster. They went from dominating the market to being nearly wiped out by Chinese brands. What stood out to you about their pivot?
Well, what really struck me,
Okay. Again, if you make any changes and you want to revert it back, you have undo and you also have redo. Okay. Let's go back to projects. Next up, we have AI script generator. And this is a very simple thing. Describe the script or story you want to generate, right? Example, write a short story, 1,000 words about two inventors who create the world's first talking machine. Takes place in early 1900s, Poland. Okay, so I am writing a very small script. Write a 100 words short story about a lone astronaut who receives an unexpected radio transmission while drifting silently above Earth. The tone should be mysterious and cinematic with vivid sensory details. Build tension gradually and end on an ambiguous note that leaves the listener wanting more. The story should feel like the opening scene of a sci-fi film written for audio narration with natural pauses and pacing. So let me click on generate. So because ElevenLabs is a bit slow today, at least it looks like, it may take a few seconds. So let's wait. So this one didn't go through. Looks like ElevenLabs has some issue today. And that's where you can see it says failed creation. But I hope you understood how generating a podcast works on ElevenLabs. And that's how simple it is for you to generate podcasts using ElevenLabs. So if you feel that this kind of videos are helpful, please support us by sharing it to as many as possible. It could be your friends, family, or even colleagues. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.